this sucks. This sucks. Absolutely sucks. Oh, man.
This is for the win. 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 This is for the win.
Welcome to the CPENN for the Win show. It's your host, Charles Penn. We're back at it again with another episode. I believe this is episode 6 we're on right now. And, man, do I have to do this show today?
Absolutely.
Do I really have to do this show today?
Bring it back in with some energy. Bring it back in with some energy. Let's go.
Well, we're gonna get into what everybody's been waiting on, man. We're gonna get into that in a sec. But first, we're gonna recap a bit of week 1 in the NFL and then preview some games for week 2 coming up. And we're gonna tap into some other things as well. Tap into a new segment. We're gonna introduce a new segment for the first time. But first, yeah, I guess gotta talk about it, right? Guess we gotta talk about it, man. As everybody saw the other night, the Clippers, they once again had a 3-1 lead in the playoffs and blew it. This time, they blew it with who I thought was the best player in all of basketball, in Kawhi Leonard. But somehow he didn't hold up his end of the bargain. As everybody's seen, the Clippers, they got smashed 104-89 in Game 7 as they complete the 3-1 collapse. Like the past 2 games before Game 7, they had a double-digit lead at some point in the first half before just collapsing and unraveling, and they ended up losing the game. In Game 7, same thing happened. They led by as much as 10 points in the first half. The lead got cut down to 2 at halftime, and then the second half, they just collapsed again, man. Like Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, I believe they combined for 2 points in the fourth quarter, or in the second half in general, I believe. It's very disappointing, man. It's very disappointing. I did not expect this from Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi, in a situation like this, he'll usually come through, even though in the past he has had Game 7s in which he did perform well. But in this instance, like, he's pretty much at the prime of his career now, and he understood what the Clippers were in, and he understood that he had to do whatever he could to get it done. But it's just that when I watched the Clippers play, they settled for too many jumpers. And it seemed like it was an ongoing repeat offense for the Clippers, man. The Clippers, I feel like they should have kept attacking the basket. Like, when your shot's not falling, you got to attack the basket. And they didn't attack the basket. It was very disappointing. Like, I expected Paul George to play like that. Because the majority of the time he hasn't come through in the playoffs, especially in like closeout situations. Like, even though he has had 2 30-point games in winner goes home situations, majority of the time you see that dude go 4 for 18 or 2 for 16 or 3 for 13, some ridiculous of that nature. So I wasn't surprised that Paul George performed like that, but I know one thing. I'm tired of watching Paul George play basketball. Anytime Paul George comes on my screen, I'm turning the channel, man, because I've had enough. I'm tired of seeing the guy, man. Plus he always makes an excuse for whenever he doesn't perform well, man. It's always some excuse. And of course he backtracks on a statement once again, like early in the year when the Clippers went ahead and acquired him and Kawhi Leonard, and we got Pat Bev and Montrez and all of them. He was like, well, we coming in with championship expectations now. We expect to win a championship. Now all of a sudden we want to backtrack and talk about, well, this wasn't a championship or bust type year. Like, dude, I'm just sick of Paul George and his excuses. And also, I'm well aware I'm well aware about mental health and how mental health is very important in our society right now. But I didn't buy that either. I'm sorry. Like, people could come at me with that, but I didn't buy that either, man. Because I've seen this story with Paul George before, man. Like, every time he does perform, it's always an excuse somewhere. He always finds an excuse, and it's tiring. Yes, the shoulder, all that, man. It's sickening. Like, I'm just sick of Paul George in general. I don't want to see him play another basketball game in my life, man. It's got to that point. And Doc Rivers, I said in previous episode, like, I'm all for black coaches having opportunity with great rosters to compete for a championship. But Doc Rivers, of all the talent that he's had to coach and all the talent he's been able to work with throughout his coaching career, his resume of blowing 3-1 leads and even 3-2 leads, like, it's too large, man. Like, I guess, I don't know if it's in your character to do that or what. I'm not sure, but Doc, it's time for Doc to pack his bags, man. I don't think Doc should coach another NBA team, man. I think he's had a long enough career. You know, Doc should be happy with what he accomplished in his coaching career. But honestly, if it wasn't for Tom Thibodeau in Boston, you know, helping him out with substitutions and helping him out on defense, you know, just being a defense specialist, helping him out in that nature, Doc's reputation would be a lot different, because this goes all the way back to Orlando when he had Tracy McGrady. They was up 3-1 on Detroit. And, you know, everybody knows T-Mac. He was talking this trash, thinking the series is already over and everything. And then everybody knows what happened. You know, Tayshaun put the clamps on T-Mac, and that was that. They blew that series. And then, of course, everybody knows about the one when Doc became the Clippers coach after his stint in Boston. When they had a 3-1 lead against the Rockets, Game 5, you know, all them Clipper fans, you know, they was ready to celebrate, and everybody was celebrating, roo, rah, rah, we finally gonna do it and all that. But you let Josh Smith and Corey Brewer bust y'all ass. And that changed the momentum of the series. And of course, everybody know the Clippers blew that series, man. Chris Paul, he folded a little bit down the stretch. I'm just saying, you let Josh Smith and Corey Brewer beat you. James Harden folded, but he got saved by Josh Smith and Corey Brewer. I'm going to say it one more time. Josh Smith and Corey Brewer. And now we had this moment here with the Nuggets, man. Like, the Nuggets, they're an extremely talented team. They're a good, young, talented team, man. You got Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. They're a nice little duo and everything. But the Clippers, with their roster and everything, I expected them to handle them, you know, pretty well. And it was looking like it. Like 3-1, you know, not as many people was watching the series, man. Like, I believe the series, they barely drew over 2 million ratings, 2 million views in ratings. And, of course, we know about Game 6. I mean, you're competing against the NFL. Like, you know, I mean, there weren't many people was going to watch it anyway, but people was just waiting on the Clippers to eventually close out the series so we can get the battle for L.A. in the Western Conference Finals. But we're not going to get it now. We're not going to get it now, unfortunately. And, you know, big ups to the Nuggets, man. Like, that's two series when you was down 3-1, and you found a way to pull it off, man. Like, your confidence never wavered. It's like, look, man, it's just, at the end of the day, you know, it's just basketball. Like, we got nothing to lose, man. Let's have fun and let's go out there and hoop. And that's exactly what they did, man. Excuse me. But I feel like where the Clippers messed up at, man, in Game 7, I'm going to break down Game 7 here. I felt like the Clippers didn't come out with that urgency that they needed to win this game, man. Like, the energy was just off. It was just completely off. And I felt like they made a mistake in trying to double Jokic. Like, I felt like they should have been more concerned about Jamal Murray. Like, I felt like they should have sent some traps at Jamal Murray and get the ball out of his hands. Like, if Jokic beats you, Jokic beats you. You know, that's how I feel. Because I felt like Jamal Murray was the more dangerous player, in my opinion. Jamal Murray, he's more the alpha on that Denver team, in my opinion. But, man, like, Jokic came out there. He was doing the Magic Johnson. He was doing the hee-hee. Just hee-heeing the Clippers in the entire first half with dimes, man. Like, the Clippers' backdoor defense, the Clippers' weak side defense was all around terrible. Like all the Nuggets had to do was cut to the basket, go backdoor on them, man. It was just that easy. Jokic was doing all kinds of passes. He was doing whatever pass you want, man. Like, just pick a pass. He'll do it and get it to his guys, man. And it felt like Jokic was about to have a 20-20-10 game for a second there. And then with Jamal Murray, when his shot was going and he had a 25-point first half, I mean, I knew the Clippers were in trouble then. Because even though the Clippers got a 10-point lead and the Nuggets cut the 2 at halftime, they was in trouble. And then the second half, man, like, I don't know, man. I really don't know. Like, it's mind-boggling how your top 4 important guys, man. It's mind-boggling how Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Montrezl, and Lou combined to have less points than Jamal Murray for the entire game. That's very disappointing, man. And it's even more disappointing, like, when JaMychal Green became your most clutch player in Game 7. JaMychal Green, dog. JaMychal Green. Man, I don't know about the Clippers, man. Like, and in the trade, all those draft picks, man, you traded 5 draft picks and you traded SGA and Gallo for Paul George, and you're stuck with that for a minute now. Like, man, I don't know. I don't know how you're going to be able to pull a rabbit out the hat on that, man. Like, it makes me wonder, man, like, did Jerry West really want to sign off on that? Or, I don't know, or did Kawhi just force his hand? Like, I don't know. I really don't know. And now, man, the only way the Clippers can really kind of fix this, man, they gotta find somebody for Paul George. I'm sorry. You got to get rid of him, man. We've seen enough from Paul George, man. You got to get that guy out of there, man. You got to find you a decent point guard that can run the offense, and get you some wings that can defend the perimeter. And speaking of wings that can defend the perimeter, man, they should have kept Mo Harkless. I said that from the jump. They didn't need Marcus Morris. You see how Marcus Morris was getting exposed on defense, and Clippers, they felt like they needed more scoring, and they was already set on scoring, in my opinion. Mo Harkless, he's a great utility guy. He can do all the little things. He can defend the perimeter. He can get you rebounds. He can get you a bucket if needed. And you see in this series, they was missing Mo Harkless, man. Denver, they was getting to the basket at will, just doing whatever, man. And also, you seen that Reggie Jackson, he was out of the rotation at some point during the series. I said it then. They didn't need Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson, you know. I told people this many times. Reggie Jackson, if you play that guy more than 20 minutes, he's going to do you in. And that's happened like 98% of the time in this playoffs. I think one time the Clippers got away with it and Reggie Jackson stepped up. He had a big fourth quarter. He played more than 20 minutes. But at the end of the day, there's a reason why OKC got rid of Reggie Jackson and kept Westbrook. Because Reggie Jackson, he's not like that. He's just not. He's not a starter, man. And he's not a guy that you can play monster minutes. So, I don't know if it was Jerry West, man, behind all them moves, but the Clippers messed up, man. They simply messed up. Their team was already set, in my opinion. Now, what I did hear is that Kawhi allegedly re-aggravated his knee. It aggravated his knee condition, his knee injury he's been battling through in Game 5. Near the end of Game 5 when he was performing. Like, I believe he had 36 points that game, if I'm not mistaken. And he somehow re-aggravated his knee. And something did just look off in Game 6 and Game 7. Like, he still played. You know, he was healthy enough to play, and he didn't use that as an excuse. He never talked about it or anything. So I salute Kawhi in that matter. Did not use the injury as an excuse. Well, the alleged injury as an excuse. But when I seen him out there on the court, something did just look off. Something looked off. Like, you didn't really see that, you know, same attack mode and same explosion, man. Like, he basically settled for mid-range jumpers and outside jumpers for the most part, man. But yeah, I don't know about the Clippers, man. I can't take them serious no more. I'm sorry, man. At the end of the day, the Clippers will always be the Clippers, no matter what. And speaking of that, Lakers, they're in prime position now. They've been chilling. They got a week rest now. LeBron's ready to go. AD's gonna be ready to go, and they're the heavy favorite now. Like, it's their finals to lose. So on that note, man, you know, good luck to the Clippers in the offseason, but I can't take you guys serious no more. I can't take this guy serious no more, man. I don't know why I even took him serious in the first place, man. It just felt like, Kawhi's that guy, man. He came off of NBA Finals MVP. He was playing at a high level, and it's just like no matter what, man, that Donald Sterling curse is still there, and the Clippers they'll forever be cursed, man. So on that note, we're gonna get down to the Lakers and Nuggets for the Western Conference Finals. The Nuggets. Congratulations to them. Like I said, they was able to overcome 2 3-1 deficits. That's never been done in NBA playoff history. But eventually, battling like that is going to catch up to them. And the Lakers, they're well rested. They're going to be ready to go. And the Nuggets, I don't think they can do it a third straight time. The Nuggets, they're extremely talented. They got a bright future. A lot of young talent. They can do many things with the roster to improve it if needed. But it's gonna be the Lakers' time, man. It's gonna be the Lakers' time. They're LeBron and AD. They're playing at an extremely high level right now. And AD, he's one of the 2 best players left in the bubble. And AD's gonna have a monster series. Like when you look at the regular season matchup between Jokic and AD, like it's not even close. Jokic, he only averaging 16 points per game in the regular season matchups against the Lakers, and AD's averaging close to 30 and 10, like 29 and 9. And at AD, he's going to dominate again this series. And LeBron, he's going to feed him well. And I think the role players, they're going to step up a bit too. Like playoff Rondo, I didn't think that was going to be a thing still. Like when he first came back, of course he had to warm up and, get acclimated with playing again and everything. But at his age and at this point in his career, I didn't think he still had playoff Rondo in him. And it's still there, and I feel like the Lakers gonna have a great defensive game plan to stop Jamal Murray. I feel like Jamal Murray, he's gonna be facing a lot of traps, mostly half court. They're gonna try to get the ball out of his hands as quick as possible and make everybody else beat him. And Millsap, I gotta give credit to Paul Millsap too, man. Paul Millsap, he's a savvy vet. He's been in this position before. He's been to a conference finals before when Atlanta, facing LeBron when he was in Cleveland, even though the Hawks got swept. But Millsap, he already know the deal. He's familiar with LeBron a bit and how he approaches the game. And Millsap, I think he'll have a decent series, but I just feel like the Nuggets, their 2 main stars, they're going to hit a wall at some point in the series, and the rest of the guys on the team, they're going to have to step it up. I just feel like the Lakers, it'll be too much, and it may be another. I ain't gonna say another 5 games. I don't know. It may be another 5 games, man. It may be another 4-1. I feel like the same pattern has repeated for the Lakers. Like game 1, it's kind of a fill out game, or it might be a little bit of a rust because they rested for so long. But after that, they really kicking the gear after game 1. So it may be a 5 or 6 game series. But the Lakers, they're gonna go to the NBA Finals to face the Miami Heat or the Boston Celtics. And speaking of the Miami Heat and Boston Celtics, we're gonna get into that. At game one, Miami Heat, Boston, they battled it out. They battled it out down to the wire. They went to overtime, and the Miami Heat was able to pull it out in game 1. Jimmy Butler and Goran Dragic, they combined for 49 points. And the Heat was able to pull it out 117-114. In this series, I originally, before the playoffs started, I originally had the Celtics coming out the East, but I don't know, man. Like I said this series could go 7. I feel like it could still go 7, but I just feel like Miami has the better closer at the end of the day, man. Like when it comes down to it, it's whether you would decide between Jimmy Butler or Jason Tatum. And Jimmy Butler's been in the league long enough. He's been to enough playoffs. He's played enough playoff series. And he finally got over the hump to get to a conference finals for the first time. And I believe this is Jimmy's time, man. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they've been to the Eastern Conference Finals before when they first got in the league, basically. They had to battle and endure without Kyrie and Gordon Hayward, and they was able to do that and took the Cavs to 7 games. But I just feel like Tatum, he's a rising star. He's getting close. He's getting close to superstar status, but there's a few things in this game, like Playmaking, he still got to work on that. He's improving in that area a little bit, but there are certain situations like if the game is tight and close, Jason Tatum, he has folded. Like at times he'll settle for a jumper too much, or he'll have a bad turnover or two. And Tatum, he's just still got to work on that. Like I feel like he settles for jumpers too much in those situations. Like you just got to continue to attack the basket. Make the refs call fouls and make the game a little easier for you to where more things on the court will open up for you. And Jimmy Butler, he's been around the block, man. And Jimmy, he's been on a mission. Like you see that he hasn't got a haircut ever since the bubble restarted, man. And acquiring Jimmy Butler was a key ingredient for Miami Heat, and it was key for Goran Dragic because Goran Dragic, he almost got traded. He almost got traded like before the season even started. And just to have him out there, it's rejuvenated his career. And Jimmy's also made Tyler Hero a better player. Tyler Hero, he's no rookie, man. He may be listed as a rookie, but he plays like a 7-year veteran, man. We've seen Tyler Hero hit so many big shots throughout this playoffs. And then, of course, you got Bam Adebayo, who I felt like, I'm going to get to the All-NBA teams and stuff, but I felt like he should have been third All-NBA team. Like, I felt like he should have been over Rudy Gobert. He was a better player than Rudy Gobert this season to me. Rudy Gobert, I felt like he got in based on reputation. And you seen in game one, in overtime, you seen that Bam Adebayo came in with a key block when Jason Tatum went to the basket, tried to yam on him, and Bam came with a monster block. And Bam, he's just he's one of the most important players on that team, man. And overall, man, Miami, they just know how to play well, and they know how to close out games, man. Like once they have a lead, man, it's hard to take it from them. So I'm looking forward to the rest of the series, and I think Jimmy Butler's gonna give him the hump, man. So you're gonna see Lakers and Heat. But like I said, Boston got a chance too. Like you can spin all these storylines either way for the NBA Finals. The Lakers and Heat. LeBron, he'll finally get to have his chance to have his revenge on Pat Riley, and Jimmy Butler. He's gonna be basically like the villain, and of course, like you can spin it with the Lakers and Celtics. You get back to the traditional NBA Finals matchup, and that's that. We're gonna hit the All NBA teams real quick. The first team, it was pretty obvious. We've seen LeBron, AD, Giannis, James Harden, and Luka Doncic. And then second team, we had Dame Lillard, Chris Paul, Kawhi Leonard, Pascal, and the big joker, Nikola Jokic. And for the third team, we have Ben Simmons, Russell Westbrook, Jason Tatum, Jimmy Butler, and Rudy Gobert. As you guys just heard, I already addressed Rudy Gobert. I felt like he shouldn't have been on any All-NBA team. But the first team, like Luka Doncic, here's my thing with Luka Doncic. Luka, he had an incredible year. I'm not hating on the guy. He almost had a triple-double. Mavericks got to the playoffs, everything. I just felt like, Chris Paul, he doesn't have the numbers that Luka Doncic has, obviously. At the same time, the Thunder, nobody was looking at the Thunder to make the playoffs. No, nobody, man. Like, they only had a 2% chance to make the playoffs before the season started. And now, granted, they still had Steven Adams on the team. And everybody knows, like I said earlier in the show, they acquired many draft picks. They acquired Gallo and SGA. At the same time, they still had a pretty young roster. And Chris Paul, you just got to give him credit, man. He led OKC to having the most clutch points in the NBA this season. Like, whenever the game was close, in the fourth quarter, the OKC, they scored the most points in clutch time. And I felt like Chris Paul had a little bit more of an impact on his team than Luka Doncic, in my opinion. So I felt like Chris Paul should have been on the first team because I believe Chris Paul was higher on my MVP list in general. But like I said, there's nothing to take away from Luka Doncic. I mean, it is what it is. Big congrats to Luka Doncic on getting the first All-NBA team. And everybody was critical of Pascal Siakam, but people got to remember, Pascal was balling before the pandemic hit. And, and everybody's seen, like, when the season restarted in the bubble, he struggled the entire way. And, unfortunately for him, he had some threats. I mean, Just stupid, dumb people just telling them. Stupid, dumb people made a petition telling them to go back to Africa, and it's ridiculous, man. Like, it's sick, and I'm getting tired of that crap. But that's a different topic. That's a different story for a different day. But Pascal, he deserved to be on second team. He was balling. He was balling in general, I felt like. Now, the third NBA team, like, I looked at all these teams, and the way the NBA has it set up, I feel like if you don't make the playoffs, you're not going to get on the All-NBA team. But I think that needs to be changed. Like, it's just seeing Russell Westbrook on the third NBA team, like, he was good, he was cool, but I felt like you could have made an exception to Bradley Beal, honestly. Because Bradley Beal, he became the first player in NBA history to average 30 points per game and not make an All-NBA team. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I understand Washington didn't have a good record and all that, but if you had League Pass or you paid attention to the NBA season closely, you've seen a lot of Wizards games in which Bradley Beal kept them in it, man. Like, if it wasn't for Bradley Beal, the Wizards probably get blown out in the majority of them games. Because I've seen a couple of games when the games were close with the Washington Wizards and Bradley Beal just go off like for 50 or 40 plus, and he'll hit you with another 50. You know, I've seen many of those games for Bradley Beal this season, and I felt like the NBA could have made an exception and put him in all NBA third team and got Russell Westbrook out of there, in my opinion. But other than that, I really don't have many qualms with the All NBA teams. Now that we got basketball out the way, let's go ahead and transition to the National Football League. Week 1 concluded last Sunday. We got NFL football back. We didn't think we'd get to this moment, but we're finally here and rolling. I'm just going to do a little quick breakdown here. As you guys see in the previous episode, I broke down the Chiefs-Texans matchup. The Chiefs did what they did, and they won 34-20. You didn't need to see much for Patrick Mahomes. He only threw for 211 yards, but he threw for 3 touchdowns, so it was still an efficient performance. But the young bull, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, made a statement. He's like, I'm here, dog. I am here. So he came out and rushed for 138 yards, got in the end zone. You know, it felt like he could have had more touchdowns, but, you know, the Chiefs, they kind of struggled down in the red zone a bit. You know, J.J. Watt, he was one of the best players out on the field, so he was making an impact in that area. You know, the Chiefs got in the red zone and could punch it in. You know, J.J. Watt just dominating over backup tight ends or whatever. So J.J. Watt did his thing, but it was not enough. The Chiefs, they picked up where they left off as Super Bowl champs, and they go on to face the Chargers next week. You got the Seahawks and the Falcons. Russell Wilson and Matt Ryan, they put up some offensive fireworks, but the Seattle Seahawks, they pretty much dominated the game from the jump. They already had a big lead, and the Falcons just made the score closer than what the game really was. Russell Wilson, he was nearly perfect, 31-35, threw for over 400 yards, 4 touchdowns. So the Seahawks, they go 1-0 on that. The Bills, they put up a comfortable win themselves. It's 27-17, but that's another game in which the Bills, they was up big, and the Jets, they got some garbage points to make the score closer than what the game really was. Josh Allen, he threw for 312 yards and 2 touchdowns. Scored a rushing touchdown, but I felt like Josh Allen, he left some throws out on the field. He could have did a little more. Like, he missed 2 touchdown passes, especially one that was obvious. John Brown was wide open in the back of the end zone, and Josh Allen, which we've seen him do many times, he overshot him 10 yards. And that's going to be an ongoing thing for Josh Allen, man. That's the one thing Josh Allen has to work on, is accuracy. If he does that, man, he's going to be a boss, man. He's already a boss as a fantasy quarterback, but as a real-life quarterback, he still got some things to work on. But, you know, that's neither here or there. You know, but the Bears and Lions, the Bears, they was losing for a majority of the game, but they came back late in the fourth quarter. The Lions, they actually had a chance down near the red zone to pull out the win, and unfortunately, DeAndre Swift, wide open in the end zone, runs a crisp route out the backfield, and he drops the ball. So, typical Lions, man. It's always something with the Lions, man. Like, they be in games at times, they have an opportunity to win, and something bad happens, man. That's just basically been their history, man. The Bears pull out a win 27-23. Mitch Trubisky had a nice performance, but Adrian Peterson for the Lions, man, he still got some juice left. He rushed for 93 yards at a touchdown, just 14 carries. So AP got to a good start, and he's still doing this thing at 35 years old. And we get to the rest of these games here. Aaron Rodgers, he hasn't left yet. Packers, they win 43-34. He put us up a great performance. Him and Devontae Adams, they didn't skip a beat. They do what they do. Typical stats against the Vikings, man. Devontae had 14 catches, 158 yards, 2 touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers threw 364, 4 touchdowns. The Patriots, Cam Newton makes his debut. Cam Newton became the first black quarterback to start for the Patriots in their franchise history. Pretty ironic there. But nah, forget all that. No, but Cam Newton, he mostly did his thing on the ground, though. Cam, he's still trying to work through some things as far as throwing the ball, man. Cam, he's still trying to get the mechanics down. You know, everybody knows, you know, he's had a couple of shoulder surgeries now, just trying to get back fully. But Cam, he scored 2 rushing touchdowns, 75 yards. You know, it was enough. Patriots defense, they play well. Here's the first upset we see here. The Washington football team, man. They was down 17-0 against the Eagles, and they came back and won 27-17. They front seven. They front seven looks pretty scary, man. Like Chase Young, he came out and balled out, man. He's like, I'm here. I'm already one of the top pass rushers in the league. He got to Carson Wentz pretty often. Him and Ryan Kerrigan, they wreaked havoc, and and as a team, they got 8 sacks. But on Washington side, you know, Dwayne Haskins, he played a solid game after that. And with the Eagles, man, you know, Dallas Goedert, he did his thing, had over 100 yards and a touchdown. But you know, the Eagles, they didn't have Miles Sanders, and they didn't have Lane Johnson. So that kind of affected their run game and affected their pass protection. So those 2 guys going to be back for week 2, and the Eagles, they may get back on track after that. You got the Raiders and Panthers. You had another high-scoring game. Quite a bit high-scoring games here. Raiders, they was able to pull out the victory 34-30. You see offensive fireworks in that, you know, in that game. Josh Jacobs, he had 3 touchdowns, had over 100 yards from scrimmage. And Carolina did their thing too. Robert Anderson, he made a great debut, had 119 yards and a touchdown. And we go down the list here. There's another upset, man. Unfortunately, you know, I'm in a survivor pool, but I should know better than to trust Phillip Rivers to win ball games, man. They went on ahead and lost 27-20. Jaguars, they was able to do their thing, man. But to start the game, the Colts, I felt like they was going to go ahead and block the Jaguars, man. They started out well, and then when Marlon Mack got hurt, you know, things changed a bit, and Jacksonville, they fought and clawed their way through, man. You know, Phillip, despite put up the numbers, man, he threw 2 crucial interceptions, man. Like, we seen with Phillip Rivers throughout his career, man. When the game is close, things get tight. Phillip be folding most of the time, man. And that's me as a Chiefs fan. I've seen the Chargers play many times. I've seen Phillip Rivers play so many times, man. He usually does this, man. That's just his MO, man. So, and then we got the Saints and the Buccaneers, man. That was the game of the week, and they did huge numbers. They did numbers close to like Super Bowl rating numbers, man, with Brady and Breeze, and you know, everybody had the intrigue of Tom Brady, you know, in a new uniform and everything. And as expected, the Buccaneers, they weren't quite in sync, and they went on and lost the first game. They lost 34-23. Their defense actually didn't play too bad, man. It's just that on the Buccaneers and on offense, they just made a few crucial mistakes and then set up the Saints pretty well. But Alvin Kamara, he went on ahead and did his thing, man. He scored 2 touchdowns, and the Saints went on ahead and did their thing, man. So you got that. And then you got the Monday night games here. Actually, forget all that. I'm forgetting the game here. I'm forgetting the Cowboys and Rams, man. The Cowboys, they went ahead and lost 20-17. They lost on some controversial stuff in the end. Jalen Ramsey, you know, he doing his little acting and acting like he got shot and everything, and he got a pass interference call in his favor, and the Rams was able to hold on and pull out the win 20-17. And then playing the new Sophie Stadium. The Cowboys, I feel like they should have dominated this game, honestly. The possession before, you know, Mike McCarthy, he went for it on 4th and 3. I feel like they should have took the points right then and there. I see but I understand what Mike McCarthy's doing. He's trying to instill the confidence in his team, but at that point, I would have took the points. But at the end of the day, man, the Cowboys, they're gonna be a good team, man. I'm telling people, man, like, I don't think they're gonna be a joke much longer. Like, they've been a running joke for a long time, but with the upgrade in the coaching staff and the defensive line, man, like, we seen Alden Smith, he looked like he ain't missed a beat. He ain't played football in a minute. So if he keeps this up, he stays out of trouble, man. He may be a Pro Bowler. He may be a Pro Bowler this season, man. And the Cowboys, they're gonna be a nice team this year, man. So, and now we conclude with the 2 Monday night games. The Steelers and Giants. Steelers, they won 26-16. Ben Roethlisberger, he went out there and did his thing. He got to a rough start, but he cleaned things up. Got him rhythm again, and him and Juju was able to do their thing. And then we got the Titans and Broncos. I felt like the Titans, they should have dominated this game. They still won, but it was just flat out ugly, man. Like, I felt like they should have put up 30 plus on the Broncos. And everybody's seen Steven Gostkowski. He had his rough time, the field goals and everything. And that's one part of the Titans team that needs to be worked on, the special teams. Their special teams was kind of rough last year too in the kicking game. So hopefully they get that corrected. But Derrick Henry, he's a beast. He worked hard for those 118 yards. He had to carry the ball 31 times, but he did his thing, man. And Corey Davis had a monster game, over 100 yards receiving. But I just realized there was one game I missed too, man. The other upset that happened with the Cardinals and the 49ers. The Cardinals won 24-20. I apologize for missing that game. You see that the Niners, they already got a little hangover for being the NFC champs, being the Super Bowl runner-ups, man. We've seen in the past, like, Super Bowl runner-ups, they had them hangovers. And I've told people, man, and I'm telling people about this Arizona Cardinals team. I think they're going to win the NFC West, man. Like, I seen a lot of people pick the Seahawks. I mean, that's not a bad pick. Jamal Adams, he making a big impact already. But Kyler Murray, he just came off winning Rookie of the Year offensively. But with him and DeAndre Hopkins now, with DeAndre Hopkins on that team now, he's about to take his game up to another level. And I think the Cardinals going to win the NFC West, and you're going to see Kyler Murray with the MVP this year. I'm telling you, it's going to happen.
I take.
All right, we're going to get into week 2 here in a sec. Wrap things up on this episode. Thursday night, I'm not going to break down that game. By the time recording happens, that game would already be over with. So there's no point in breaking that game down. But I'm going to go ahead and say the Browns win that game. But if I'm wrong by the time this episode appears, then it is what it is. But anyway, we get to the Giants and Bears. The Bears, they're currently a 5.5 point favorite. They're playing at home. I feel like the Bears, they should be able to win this game, but it's gonna be a lot closer than what people think, man. Because both of these teams, to me, they're just a mess, in my opinion. But the Bears, they should be able to pull it out, man. I think their defense comes along stronger in the end. And then we got the Falcons and Cowboys. Now this one's expected to be a shootout here. Dallas, they're a 4-point favorite right now. Matt, you're gonna see a lot of fireworks here. You got Matt Ryan, Zeke, Julio, Dak, Amari Cooper. You got all kinds of offense. And the defense, it's a little suspect in certain areas, but I think Atlanta's defense is way more suspect than Dallas's. I think Dallas, they got the capability of slowing down Atlanta more than Atlanta does Dallas. And I think you're going to see some monster games from Dak and Zeke and Amari Cooper, because Amari Cooper, here's the thing. Amari Cooper, he's such a boomer bust wide receiver. And in this matchup, this is like one of them breakout games. This is one of them boom games Amari has every year. Because with Amari Cooper, he has like 3 or 4 boom games every year. So I think this is going to be one of them. And then on the Falcons side, I think they're going to get smacked. But, Julio Jones, he's going to do his thing. Because I don't think Dallas has an answer for him. But other than that, Matt Ryan, he may get touched up a few times. So I got Dallas at that one. Green Bay and Detroit. Green Bay, they're a 6-point favorite right now. And they're at home in Lambeau Field. Of course, everybody knows, fans, for the most part, they're starting a lot of games, or there may be like certain exceptions where it'd be like a few hundred or 1,000. But anyway, the Packers, they're going to do their thing against Detroit, man. We see in the past, Detroit, they're just not good at Lambeau Field in general. And Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, they're going to pick up where they left off. So they're going to have a monster day again. I got Green Bay winning that one. And we run down more of these games here. Jaguars and Titans, man. The Titans, we know with Derrick Henry, every time they match up against the Jaguars, that's where Derrick Henry has his best games. When you look at Derrick Henry's entire career and like yards per game of all the teams that he's gone against, he's done the most damage to the Jaguars. And the Jaguars, their defensive line got weaker. And we seen last week, Marlon Mack was getting it going for the Colts until he tore his Achilles. And Jonathan Taylor, he did his thing too, man. So Derrick Henry, we've seen throughout his entire career destroy the Jaguars. And the Titans, they're going to control the game from start to finish. So I got the Titans in a blowout. And they're currently a 7.5-point favorite. I think they cover that. We got the Vikings and Colts. Colts, they're a 3-point favorite against the Vikings. They're both dome teams, so the Vikings, they're gonna be comfortable being on the road anyway. But despite the Colts disappointing me last week, I think they get back on track this week. They're gonna try to establish Jonathan Taylor a little bit. Jonathan Taylor, he has a big opportunity. He's gonna be the starter now, and Phillip Rivers, he's gonna put up some big numbers again. It's just a matter of him not turning the ball over, but he'll probably see him turn the ball over. Regardless. So I got the Colts. I think it'll be a close game though, but I got the Colts pulling it out. And then we got the Bills and Dolphins. Bills, they a 6-point favorite on the road in Miami. I think Josh Allen, he's gonna have another big game here. It's just a matter of him, his accuracy, man. It's just I don't know, man. But the Dolphins, they're just not a good team, man. I feel like he should ball. He should have over 300 yards in total offense. Heck, I think he might go over 300 yards passing. That's how I see it. So I got the Bills in that one. Niners and Jets. Niners, they're a 7-point favorite on the road in New York. On paper, the Niners should smack the Jets, but the Jets, they've been actually pretty solid at home as an underdog for what I've been seeing here. So don't be surprised if this game is closer than what you're seeing here with the spread and everything. I think the Jets, their defense actually performs a little better at home. And right now, the Niners, they're nursing an injury with George Kittle. And, of course, Deebo Samuel, he's still out. And we still have yet to see Brandon Ayuk, they top rookie wide receiver. So I got the Niners pulling it out, but it might be a closer game than what you expect. That's how I see it. And then we go down the line further here. We got the Eagles and Rams. Eagles, they're currently a 1-point favorite against the Rams. The Eagles, they're supposed to be having Miles Sanders and Lane Johnson back. And I think that's going to help tremendously. So that being said, I feel like the Eagles, they'll get back on track here. I think their offensive line is going to neutralize Aaron Donald a little bit and take him out the game. And the Eagles should find a rhythm here. Carson Wentz, I don't think he'll get hit as much. And I think Zach Ertz will get back on track as well. We've seen Dallas Goedert get the word last week. It'll be Zach Ertz this week. Eagles, they'll get back on track. Pittsburgh and Denver. Pittsburgh, they're currently a 7.5-point favorite at home. I feel like in this game, I feel like Denver can. Everybody knows Pittsburgh is tough at home. They tough at home, but I feel like Denver, they can maybe hang with them a little bit. I think it's gonna be a closer game than what people expect here as well. Denver, we seen in that Monday night game, even though I felt like Tennessee should have dominated that game, but Denver, they kind of have a bend don't break defense, and they're still kind of solid without Von Miller. So I think they might be all right. But at the end of the day, Denver, they're not gonna win this game. But I expect Ben to continue to find the rhythm. Juju Smith-Schuster do his thing. But as far as the run game is concerned, I think they'll be all right in that area too. In this particular game, I don't know. Like Benny Snell, he made the work for it too. Like Derrick Henry had to work for it on Monday night. Because Denver, they run defense looks kind of solid. And with Drew Lock, he may do his thing here too, but the Steelers defense is kind of tough. I ain't gonna lie to you. You got Micah Fitzpatrick, you got them fast linebackers and Bud Dupree and Devin Bush, man. And you got Cam Hayward up front. That Steelers defense is gonna be tough. And that's probably why they're gonna be considered Super Bowl contenders this year, but I don't think they get there, but we're gonna have to see, man. But Steelers, they should pull out the win. Tampa Bay, they're currently an 8.5-point favorite against the Carolina Panthers at home. I think this is when the Bucs kind of click here and start to get things going here. Carolina, their defense is very suspect. Like, you can score on them at any point. The Buccaneers, you still may see a little rust here. I think with the Buccaneers, from what I've seen, man, I think Mike Evans and Tom Brady, they're currently not on the same page right now. With Tom Brady and his wide receivers, he expects his wide receivers to run a particular route. Like, for example, Tom Brady, he'll ask a receiver to run a 9 route, and a receiver will sometimes run a 11 instead, and that's not what Tom Brady wants. When Tom Brady says run a 9 route, he wants that route to be exactly run how it runs, or run how it runs, or run how it goes. I can't talk right now, but hopefully him and Mike Evans get that chemistry. But with Tom Brady, you see in his career for the most part, he works with the slot receivers the best. Chris Godwin, he should have a decent game here. I got the Buccaneers in that one, and we see in the past Christian McCaffrey, he struggled against the Buccaneers and they run defense, and I think they make a team here. Teddy Bridgewater's going to throw the ball quite a bit, and it may lead to a few turnovers. So I got the Buccaneers coming out of that one. We got the Washington football team going against the Cardinals. The Cardinals, they're currently a 6.5-point favorite at home. Washington, they front 7 balling out to start out the year. In this particular game, I think Washington can hang a bit in this one as well. Arizona, they're going to win the game, but, Kyler Murray, he's going to be Houdini back there and, do some things with his legs. I mean, he did it last week, almost had 100 yards rushing, and you may have to do that again, but Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins, they're going to figure it out, because, if Kyler Murray has enough time back there, Washington's pass rush, if Washington's pass rush can't get there, they're going to get caught up in the secondary, because their secondary is a little bit suspect. So I got Arizona out of that one. And here's one of the big games we got here. We got the Chiefs and the Chargers. The Chiefs are going to be on the road at SoFi Stadium. The Chargers will be playing their first game at SoFi Stadium now. The Chiefs, they currently 8.5-point favorite on the road. Now these two, they had some battles. They had some close games and everything. This is the one team that has given Patrick Mahomes problems the most. When you look throughout the history, Patrick Mahomes, he's barely thrown for 200 yards in certain games, and there was games where he barely got under 200 yards. But I think in this particular matchup, man, I think Patrick Mahomes is going to get over the hump. I think the Chiefs are going to have a nice day, in my opinion. I think they get over 30 points in this matchup, and they should be able to cover that 8.5, man. I think they win by double digits, man. It'll be like 31-14, 31-17, something like that. So the Chiefs, they should be just fine, man. I think Tyreek Hill's gonna have a monster day, in my opinion, because we have seen this particular matchup with him and Chris Harris before. Chris Harris, he's one of the top defensive backs in the league, and we also seen him go up against Casey Hayward, and he's one of the top corners in the league. And Tyreek Hill has done him in both times. He's done it in either guy. So look for Tyreek Hill to have a monster day again. We got the Ravens and the Texans. The Ravens, they're a 7-point favorite on the road in Houston. This game might get ugly for the Texans, man. I think Baltimore's going to roll again this week. Texas, man, like not DeAndre Hopkins, but Deshaun Watson, man, he does not have offensive line, and you got a bunch of slot receivers as wide receivers, man, and it's just not a good formula. Like, David Johnson, he looked good against the Chiefs and everything, but it's going to be rough for Deshaun Watson, man. I just hope he makes it through the season, man. J.J. Watt, he look like he's playing at a high level again. But the Ravens, they just got too much across the board, man, on both sides of the ball. Lamar Jackson, he should have another decent day. And the Ravens defense, it's going to be hell for Deshaun Watson again. We've seen last year it was hell for him. It's going to be hell for him again. And then we got the Sunday night football game. Got the Patriots and the Seahawks. This is one of the top matchups here. I believe this is the game of the week, in my opinion. Russell Wilson at home. Won't have the 12th man in Seattle. I don't think there's going to be any fans allowed for this one. Or there might be a few, but you won't really feel the 12th man like that. But with all that being said, Patriots, I think a key matchup we're going to see here is this Stephon Gilmore and DK Metcalf. That's going to be a matchup to watch here. But I think Stephon Gilmore will have the best of DK, in my opinion. Not to say that DK won't be special, because honestly, I was wrong on DK. I thought DK wasn't going to be that great, in my opinion, but I was clearly wrong. I mean, DK, he looked like he's going to be a special wide receiver for years to come. But this particular matchup, Gilmore, he's the top corner in the league. He's all pro, and you should have the best of them. But with that being said, Seahawks, they got other weapons. Tyler Lockett and Greg Olsen. I think Tyler Lockett, he's going to have a great day. He should have a great night, in my opinion. And Seahawks, they're going to pick up where they left off in week 1. But the Patriots, Cam Newton, I think Cam is going to be in a situation here where he's going to have to throw the ball quite a bit. And we just don't know, man. We just don't know if he's fully back yet. It's going to be interesting to see how he does in this particular matchup. I think Seattle's going to come away with the win here. And then the Monday night matchup here with the Raiders and the Saints. The Saints, they're 6-point favorite on the road. The Raiders, they get to play their first game ever at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. Unfortunately, we probably won't get fans in that stadium. I'm interested to see how things are gonna play out. When we finally get fans in the stands, and how it's gonna turn out, man. It's gonna be crazy whenever that happens, but we just don't know. The Saints, they're gonna be without Michael Thomas here, high ankle sprain. Offense may look a little different here, and to be honest, man, I don't know, man. Like I don't know about the Saints, man. Like Drew Brees. I think his arm's pretty much shot, man. I think Brees is getting close to that point where he may have to retire soon. Like, he's the first ballot Hall of Famer, respected around the league and everything, but I just don't know if Drew really has it anymore, man. Now, the good thing with him is that the Raiders defense, they're not that great right now. And with the Raiders, they was capable of scoring, going against Carolina and everything. The Saints defense is a little different. The Saints, they're still pretty solid in that area. I think the Raiders can give them a game, but at the end of the day, I think the Saints, they may be able to pull it out here in a close one. So I got the Saints. And that's all the games for week 2, man. We should see some great football again. And I'll be looking forward to Sunday. All right, and that concludes episode 6 of CPENN for the Win show. This is your host, Charles Penn. Looking forward to the games here. Looking forward to the rest of the NBA playoffs. See how that turns out in week 2. And, of course, we got college football starting. College football, they already started. We'll see how that plays out. We got all kinds of craziness going on with that. But until the next episode, which will be episode 7, I'm out.
Jay with the sauce boy.